maybe I'll be the guy to discover him for certain and say, "Hey, there he is. Here he is. He walks among us."
This
Uh,
is a show to listen to.
This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net. It is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John Donalo. And we are early on a Tuesday afternoon because I have to go pick up my husband after this show. So everybody, if you're not here now, you're listening to us in the future. Right, Paul Seaburn?
Yes, that is correct. That's it. Thank you for that explanation, Karen Hale, our producer, announcer, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. She does everything there. As we used to say when we were much younger, the chief cook and bottle washer, for those who remember what bottles are.
yes, our generation remembers that well, Paul.
There you go. That's right, John. Okay, so we've got what do we have? We've got Karen's voice in one ear. We've got John Donalo in the other ear. He is our other co-host, our sports commentator, color commentator. He's the host of What in the World of Sports with John Donalo. Let's see. Let's get. Who am I? I am Paul Seaburn, your host of What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news show. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. That's what we try to live up to every week. Whether we come on time, whether we're 2 or 3 days late, whether we're early, that's our goal, to make you laugh and have a good time listening to the news that you don't find anywhere else. And we are beating the mainstream media. I watch I don't necessarily watch the news every night, but I tend to watch the late night talk shows, and we are consistently revealing stories long before the late night talk shows do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, you want to get ahead, everybody. Yeah, you want to get ahead of the game. The place to be is at What in the World. I also test some of these stories out during the week on my Facebook page. So you can find me on Facebook, take a look at them, make some comments if you like them. If you are one of my Facebook friends, you'll recognize some of these stories, but much more elaborate information on What in the World than a joke or two on Facebook. The Facebook is also a great way to communicate with me. Let me know if many of our listeners have sent me story ideas or articles that they thought were funny, and they've ended up on the show. So we appreciate all of that. Visit us there. Visit us at newclevelandradio.net, where you can find out how to download the podcast, how to find us on YouTube, and then also take a look at all the other great podcasts Karen has. And you'll get information on Yes, I Can coaching with Karen, our sponsor. You may even get some information on our adopted lacrosse team, Panther City Lacrosse, down in Fort Worth, Texas. I don't know if they've been playing lately, Karen. I haven't been able to.
They played this Sunday afternoon. So
Sunday afternoon.
Yep, Sunday afternoon.
I believe that many times they're on national TV, or at least on one of the major
ESPN Plus. Yeah.
ESPN Plus. Okay, great. Wow.
Good.
Speaking of cable sports, I should save this for the end of the show, but I'll forget. So John always brings us a weird sport for his segment, and I was going through the football season is over. So John and I are at a loss. John, not so much, because he loves all sports. I'm lost. So I'm looking through the channels, and I see this sport. It was called foot volley, the professional foot volley. Turns out that's a sport we did on What in the World. It was 4 people on a beach playing volleyball, but they weren't allowed to use their hands. They could only use their feet. Yeah, they had to serve with their feet. They had to bounce the ball off their chest or off their head. Right. The net.
Oh, wow.
Not only that, so I sat and wasted 20 minutes watching that. Their sponsor was a home foot volley kit with a little piece of tape off your grass and a little miniature volleyball net.
I love it.
And I'm here thinking, We beat you guys to it too.
I do remember
Anyways,
doing that for Paul and Karen. Yeah, sure.
yeah, John, that was a fun sport. That was a fun sport there.
It was.
All right, so we've got some great stories for you here. We want to get right to them. We've got oh boy, John, you'll love this one. Crocodiles in churches. Where do you find out where there's crocodiles?
Wow.
Yeah. How to catch a Bigfoot. We've got information on this show on instructions, how to catch a Bigfoot. Get your pencil and paper ready. Uh, Music to stick matches up your nose to. And with a local connection. So stick around for that. The world's strangest tooth fairies, the world's worst flying fish, plus some more odd news. I've got a bunch of world records to talk about, one right up front, and trivia. John's got a great sport for us. And then, of course, we play Bluff the Co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game at the end of the show. So stick around for that. But let's get right into a story that'll warm you up. It's still cold here in Northeast Ohio. Supposed to be up to 50 later on this week, but right now it's cold. So this is a warmer upper for you. And also a very popular story on Facebook. Sophia Hayden is the lady's name. She's in Gig Harbor, Washington. So up in Washington State. She just set a new Guinness World Record for the most sweaters worn at once when she put on 45 sweaters, one at a time, making sure to pull each one down all the way to her waist without tearing it before moving to the next one. So I know you want to see that. It's so unbelievable. Let's see. There we go. There's the lovely young Sophia. So there she is with all of the sweaters on. She looks like she's about the size of Shaquille O'Neal there. And then on the right, on the right, she has all of the sweaters, all 45 of them, on a pile in front of her. Took her less than an hour to put each one of those sweaters on, even though she had to do it one at a time. Took her 3 days to stop itching from all that wool.
Wow.
Now, if you're wondering, she had to purchase all the sweaters at local stores. She donated them, all 45 of them, when it was over, to charity, and she still managed to knit another sweater just from the fuzz she found in her belly button. So,
interesting. Wow.
She shopped at Old Navy, Target, and Kohl's, which explains why, if you've been to a Target in Washington recently, all of the ladies XXXL size are out, because those were the ones that she put on at the very last. So
right.
Sure, right. Yeah, it kind of makes sense since you did it that way.
Now, if you notice, there were no turtlenecks. Because think about it, if she put a turtleneck on, kept on putting turtleneck, before you know it, she'd have a smokestack on there. A woolen smokestack. They'd have to run an oxygen hose down there so she could breathe.
Wow.
Not the only record holder in her family. I thought this was very interesting. She was inspired by her mother. Her mother's name is Alexandra. Alexandra is the current world record holder for the longest marathon crocheting. And I believe we talked about her. Alexandra crocheted one long piece of material for 34 hours and 7 minutes to get the world record. She also owns now the record for the longest Afghan, which means she also holds the record for the longest couch to display the Afghan on. And I believe, here's this. If you grew up in Northeast Ohio, you have one of these on your couch, or you had one on your couch when you were a kid. Yep. Especially if you had a grandmother or a bubba or whatever you called your grandmother, because that's what they did. They crocheted the and if you're of a certain age, you cannot not look at this zigzag pattern on that Afghan and think, if you whack this along the side, that TV will lose all those lines.
Good one, Paul.
Right?
Good one.
John, isn't that the way the TV looked when all of a sudden it went on to fritz a
In a
out
way,
or
yes,
something.
we used to call that the test pattern, right? Was it? Here's the test pattern. That's my recollection.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's right. Yeah, and you either you did what we do today. You unplugged it and plugged it back in again to see if that would work.
That's right. That's right, Paul.
So the word Afghan, the Afghan actually, and the blanket comes from Afghanistan. I figured that, but I had to look it up anyway. Where the women like to do that. They like to make blankets out of yarn, and that's what an Afghan is. The so you can blame them for that zigzag pattern on everybody's couch.
Yep.
So I believe we're the last generation to see. I don't think there's too much crocheting going on anymore. I don't know. Do you, Karen? Do you?
No, I left that to my mother and my brothers.
Oh, there are some, quite a few men who will crocheting and knitting, a very therapeutic thing to do. Okay. All right. This is another popular story on Facebook with a local twist. So William Post, one of the inventors of the Pop-Tart, passed away last week at the age of 96, which explains why the bread in your toaster has been stuck at half staff for the past week. So Mr. Post invented the Pop-Tart in 1964 while he was working for oh no, there we go again. While he was working for Kellogg, very, very ironically, Post was working for Kellogg in a different department. And Cleveland was one of the test markets for these Pop-Tarts, before they were even called Pop-Tarts. So Cleveland received 45,000 cases in 1964, 45,000 each of strawberry, blueberry, apple currant, and brown sugar cinnamon. And they were sold out within days. So they knew they had a hit. I think it looks like a rectangular pierogi. Well, of course it's going to be a hit in Cleveland. So there you go. There's a picture of one right there in case you can't use your or you've never seen a Pop-Tart, which I can't imagine anyone in this country has never seen a Pop-Tart. But just for your help, there it is. So Post, not the guy, but the company actually invented the toaster pastry, but they called it what did they call it? Country squares, I think they call it. No, they call it something else. And they weren't even trying to make breakfast pastry. What they were doing was they invented a process for dehydrating food and wrapping it in foil, and they were using this for dog food. So once they used it up for dog food, they're thinking, well, what else can we use this for? Logically, breakfast pastries, of course. So they started test marketing it, and Kellogg heard about it. So they ran out real quick and found this guy Post, who was working for Keebler of all places at the time. So they hired him from Keebler. He came in and he invented the process. They called them country squares originally. What country eats square pieces of dried dried pastry with a little teeny tiny bit of jelly in there? Uzbekistan? I don't know. Wrong name. So 1964, pop art was popular. So they did a play on words. Instead of calling that pop art, they called it Pop Tart. And of course,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm thinking if they were to come out with this today in 2024, using that same logic, these things would be called tartificial intelligence.
Oh,
You got your
yes.
horn going over there? You got your horn? Very
good.
So yeah, they tried to call them fruit scones. Nobody liked that idea. So Pop-Tarts, Pop-Tarts is part of our lexicon now, so to speak. Okay, speaking of artificial intelligence, everybody is using Chat GPT these days. The chat bot that answers questions, draws pictures. You describe something to, and it draws a picture for you. So the Daily Star, my favorite newspaper, asked Bard, which is the Chat GPT for Google. Okay, now we know who all the players are. So they asked Bard What is the best way to catch a Bigfoot? So, John, what do you think artificial intelligence came up with for ways of catching a Bigfoot?
Well, this is just a wild guess. How about coming up with some kind of trap?
Oh, how logical. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, with all the capabilities that artificial intelligence has, couldn't
I
they develop a trap of some kind?
the perfect answer, perfect answer. I was thinking before I even got to that point, I'm thinking, catch them doing what? Because maybe that wasn't, the chat GPT isn't real smart. Maybe he's thinking, oh, catch them cheating on their wives, hire a private investigator. Or so you'd have to explain it to Bard. No, we mean trapping it at to put it in a zoo or something. So he might say, Bard might say, take a picture, but then you have to explain to Bard that Bigfoots don't take good pictures. Even their baby pictures are blurry. They're just blurred. So here's the answer. Bard says the first thing you have to do is lure them out from their community. And they suggested to set up elaborate displays with flashing lights, strange sounds, and irresistible scents to pique its curiosity and draw it out. Okay, flashing light and strange sound. You know what that means? Bigfoot likes disco. What else could it be? Yeah, Bigfoot likes disco. And then an irresistible scent. What's an irresistible scent to a Bigfoot? We talk about Bigfoot liking donuts. That might be a good one. But if you've ever talked to someone who claims they've seen a Bigfoot, it smells like a swamp. Is that an irresistible scent? Do we get some dog poo and let them roll around in it, and that'll lure them out? I don't know. Flashing lights, again, if they like flashing lights so much, we'd have better pictures of them. So I don't buy the flashing light thing. And what kind of music do you think Bigfoot prefers? John, what do you think? Take a stab.
Well, I'm not going to go into this area and say that Bigfoot would appreciate classical music. I don't think we perceive Bigfoot to be very intelligent creatures. I mean, they're creatures, right? But I don't know how absolutely intelligent they are, so to speak. Maybe rock music because it's loud and maybe attract attention to them. How about hard rock music? Not
Hard
even
rock,
just
okay, hard rock, or maybe since it's Bigfoot, maybe a hair band. So what that reminded me of, because that was the first thing that came to my mind after rock. I thought Bigfoot, being logical, I think Bigfoot would like rock. The beat, you always hear him knocking, but "Can't You Hear Me Knocking" by the Rolling Stones might be a great Bigfoot song. But I'm thinking I'm going up the hair angle, and there's a song. Now this is for our older listeners. There was a song from the '60s that was called "Hair." John, who was the band that was their biggest hit?
Oh, you know what? I'm drawing a blank, but I know exactly what you're referring to.
Yes, it was a family. It was a family band. No getting. I'll give it to you. The Cowsills.
I was going to say that, actually, but yeah, okay. All right.
Believe it or not, the Cowsills have a local connection. And the Cowsills, for you younger kids, for Generation X, I guess it would be, if you ever watched the Partridge Family, the inspiration for the Partridge Family was the Cowsills. They were a real band family with a mother. She toured with them, and they had a number of big hits, including Hair. So they were from Long Island, but the father, Bud Cowsill was his name, was in the military. And at one time he was stationed in Canton, Ohio, right down the road from us in the late 1950s as a U.S. Navy recruiter. So the Cowsills, the little kids, originally started playing in churches in Canton, Ohio. That's where they got their. Yeah. Now it gets better, Karen. They were heard by a local celebrity who decided to bring them on his show. That local celebrity was Gene Carroll, who had the original variety show, the Gene Carroll Show, on Sunday afternoon television in Cleveland, Ohio. So they got their start. The Cowsills got their start in Cleveland, Ohio. How about that?
Fun
On
fact.
WEWS, John.
Yeah. Oh, that is a watch a lot of Gene Carroll, but don't remember seeing the Cowsills.
Okay, so back to
watch that every Sunday afternoon. Sure.
yeah. Okay, back to Bigfoot. So again, how would you catch one? John had a great idea. You throw out a net and catch him in a trap like this guy. This guy claimed this is artificial intelligence. He didn't really capture Bigfoot because we know about it. But somebody generated a photo of a guy with a Bigfoot trapped in a net, and conveniently a big giant arrow in case you can't see the Bigfoot there. So to me, if Bard thinks this is a good idea, that means Bard is trying to get us killed, because this is not a good idea. Look at the size of the Bigfoot here, and this poor guy's having a heck of a time controlling the Bigfoot in this giant net. So then it says what Bard says: once you captured the Bigfoot, you create life-size, realistic Bigfoot suits and costumes to infiltrate their communities and gain their trust. Now, I happen to look up a Bigfoot costume.
Oh,
there's one God.
Right.
That's your standard Bigfoot Halloween costume, which is available, which is the costume that would be available to most people. You wear that in a community of Bigfoot, and they're gonna tear you apart. First they're gonna take your Jack's Links, your beef jerky that you're holding there, and then they're gonna rip you up. So then I'm thinking, well, maybe you should take a weapon with you. So Bard recommends a weapon, a mind-reading helmet, so that you can read the mind of the Bigfoot. And if you can't get a mind-reading helmet, you should get a phone app, an iPhone app that translates Bigfoot to human and human to Bigfoot. None of these things exist, by the way. Bard is trying to pull another fast one over us, but he thinks maybe somebody will be inspired to invent one. Use the Vulcan mind meld or something on a Bigfoot. Yeah. To foster trust, you show up dressed like that with a helmet and say to Bigfoot, "Here, put this on so I can read your mind."
Yeah, right.
Yeah. and then in the meantime, they hear their friend Dave, the Bigfoot, in the net yelling, "Don't trust those humans. They're donuts. They're stale." So I'm sorry, artificial intelligence, Google Bard, we're not going to follow these instructions. Even John will not follow those instructions.
Oh, I can't. In good conscience, I can't do it, Paul and Karen. No way.
No way. All right. So we mentioned last week that John was going to be taking a trip. I believe you flew on a plane. Is that right, John?
That is correct. We flew down to Florida.
You flew twice on a plane. Okay.
Yes.
So this, fortunately for you, this story came out while you were gone. Otherwise, you may have had second thoughts. So this comes from Delta. This is a Delta flight from Amsterdam to Detroit last week had to turn back after maggots began falling out of an overhead compartment. A passenger reportedly brought rotten fish on the plane in a carry-on bag, put it in the overhead compartment where the maggots broke free, don't ask me how, and squeezed through the cracks, falling down on a person underneath them.
Oh, boy.
The best part was when that person, a very nice little old lady with maggots all over her, politely asked the flight attendant if she could change her order to the chicken. Can you believe this? The smell was so bad. People were going to the lady who had the screaming baby and asking for her dirty diapers that they could hold over their face. That's how bad the smell of the rotten fish was.
Wow.
Now, this is all true. How did he get it past security? Everybody was asking that question on Facebook. It's food, believe it or not, in many Scandinavian countries, Norway and Sweden in particular, rotten fish is a delicacy. It's a way of preserving fish. Back when they didn't have other ways of preserving fish, they would let it rot for a year, and by then, and by then it still stunk, but it was safe to eat.
Wow.
Surströmming or rockfish are the two kinds of fish that this is. So if you ask me, that's what they should leave out for Bigfoot bait is some of this rotten fish. I think Bigfoot might like it. They actually eat this with thinly sliced raw onion, sour cream, and mustard. Just like Mom used to serve.
Oh,
Perfect.
boy.
I know. Perfect dish for Lent, because if my mom put that in front of me, I would give up all food for Lent.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I tell you
The
what,
plane.
if you ate
Pardon?
that, you would have a diet,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that would-
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So the plane is going to Detroit, favorite location of both Karen and John. I can imagine these people, they couldn't wait to get off the plane and take a deep breath of all that air pollution coming from the auto plants, because it had to smell better than the rotten fish on the plane.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, you would think
Yeah.
so.
So, of course, Delta tries to compensate them for this. So they, if they couldn't reschedule them on another flight, they gave them 8,000 air miles, a hotel room, and a $30 meal ticket, which sounds like a good deal, except it was already late. The poor people, they go to the key, the food is, all the places are closed except one place, and all they're serving is rice and fish. Oh no!
It's a cruel hoax. It's a cruel hoax.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. So we got another world record here. My favorite world record of the week. Also from Denmark. Peter von Tangen Buskov is the guy's name. We'll call him Peter from now on. He set a Guinness World Record for, and I'm just going to put the photo up here while I explain it to everybody else. He set the world record for the most wooden matches held in the nose when he shoved 68 wooden matchsticks into his nostrils and held them there for the requisite amount of time to get the record. He set a second record when he sneezed and lit 68 birthday candles simultaneously.
Oh my gosh.
Can you believe that's 34? I'm guessing he evenly distributed them. 34 matchsticks in each nostril. John, have you ever done anything like that?
I'm happy to say I haven't, Paul and Karen. And the first thought that came to my mind.
I remember in the fraternity. No, I'll tell that story later.
Okay, yeah, please do. Well, I don't want that out in the public, in any way. But the first thought that crossed my mind is, what possessed him to want to have this record?
Oh, I'll tell you. He's 39 years old. He says the key to breaking the record was that he has fairly large nostrils and quite stretchy skin. In addition, he has no life. So, that he's got nothing better to do. What else? What can I do to kill time? Hey, how about shoving matchsticks up my nose? Now, I want to point out to our regular listeners that this is the second matchstick story in 2 weeks. We had a matchstick story last week about the guy who built an Eiffel Tower out of 700,000 wooden matchsticks. Now, this week, we've got another matchstick story about a guy who shoves matchsticks up his nose. The Eiffel Tower guy could have used this trick. Maybe if he needed an extra hand while he's trying to hold up the Eiffel Tower, he could have shoved some of the sticks up his nose and then kept his hands free. Plus, the added attraction, he'd have something a little sticky on there to help the matchstick stick to the Eiffel Tower.
Oh boy.
Oh.
An added feature.
This guy is a secondary school teacher. He teaches your children, people.
Oh God.
Yeah. Now, I don't ever remember any teacher of mine doing a stunt like this. However, I do remember having a couple of nuns who shot flames out of their mouth, but that was an entirely different trick.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
John,
geez.
John and Karen and everybody out there, you don't see matchsticks much anymore.
No,
I'm
you
not
don't.
sure I don't even know
That's a
where to
very
go
good
to
point.
buy matchsticks. But
I
John,
mean,
where would you go?
it's a good point. I mean, everyone, like, for example, for a birthday party, typically people have lighters, right? Or, those long extenders that you use when you want to light your grill or something along that line. But
There you go.
matches are, and even people lighting cigarettes or cigars. Very few people, I think, light them with matches these days.
That's right. That's right. Not only that, I believe we are the last generation to have a song dedicated to matchsticks. Do you remember that song, John? This is part of our generation here.
Yes, I do.
Everybody
Pictures
out
of
there listening, play
men.
along. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, pictures of matchstick men.
Pictures of matchstick men. Now, okay, that was the easy one. What's the name of the band? I'll give you a hint. 1968. Terrible hint. What's the name of the band?
Not Procol Harum.
Wow. That's the style of Procol Harum and about the same time period. But sorry, no. It was a band called the Status Quo.
Okay.
One hit wonder. That was their only big hit. Matchstick Men. Now, just like Procol Harum, these guys were obviously taking some illegal substances at the time. I want to read for the young kids out there who have never heard this song. I wish I could play it, but then we'd have to pay for it. But we can share the lyrics and listen to these lyrics, and then you'll understand your parents and your grandparents from that generation. When I look up to the sky, I see your eyes, a funny kind of yellow. I rush home to bed. I sunk my head. I see your face underneath my pillow. I wake next morning, tired, still yawning. See your face come peeping through my window. Pictures of matchstick men and you. Images of matchstick men and you. All I ever see is them and you. There you go. Sing along if you like.
You know what? I mean, that's a perspective, obviously. That's a perspective. But
now, so as always, I do my research on this. And Status Quo, believe it or not, the Status Quo is still touring as a band. They have one original member left, and he's the guy who wrote Pictures of Matchstick Men. His name is Francis Rossi. He's British. He's from Camberwell, originally from Camberwell in England. And here's what he says about that. He was living in a prefab, so that would be like a trailer in Camberwell in 1968. And he says, I wrote it on the bog. So the first thing I had to do was look it up because I knew he wasn't sitting in a swamp. A bog in Camberwell is a small room with a toilet. So the bog part is the toilet, one of those mechanical toilets. Okay. I'd gone there. He says, I've gone there not for the usual reasons, but to get away from the wife and mother-in-law. I used to go in this narrow frizzing toilet and sit there for hours until they finally went out. I got 3/4 of the song finished in that kazi. Kazi is the name of the little room, the little bathroom. The rest I finished in the lounge. So he wrote that song sitting on the toilet for 3 hours until his wife and his mother-in-law left him alone. What you can't.
Truth be told, wow.
Well, I watched that documentary about the Beatles, and I was so impressed with how McCartney and Lennon are writing all these songs and playing notes back and forth to each other and lyrics, and then there's this guy sitting on the toilet writing a song that we remember to this day 60 years later, and it's still getting work. How about that? Way to go. What was your name again? Francis Rossi. Congratulations. Yeah. If you're a groupie and you go to his concert, whatever you do, if he says, come on backstage to see my bog, don't go with them.
Yeah, don't. No.
You're not in for a treat.
All right, now my favorite story of the week comes from Italy. The so this was from a travel log I was reading, and they said that they were in Italy, and the people went into a church, and they said when you look at the ceiling of Santuario della Beata Vergine Maria del Grazie Catholic Church in Lombardia, Italy, and I'm never going to repeat that name again. You look up, and what you see is this. You see a 500-year-old mummified crocodile hanging from chains that are attached to the ceiling of this otherwise beautiful church. According to the legend, the crocodile attacked two brothers who were members of the church while they were walking along the river near the church. So one of them prayed to the Holy Virgin that the church is named for, then used a knife to kill the crocodile, which is why the church's nickname is Our Lady of Good Boots. Now, for those of you who are regular listeners to the show know that I am a Catholic, lifelong Catholic, still go to church. John, the same. I tell you what, if they hung crocodiles in the church, I would never fall asleep during a sermon again.
Paul and Karen, you can take that to the bank, so to speak.
Yep.
You can take that to the zoo, John, not just the bank.
Oh my gosh.
So, where did something like this come from? Well, it turns out in ancient times, Christianity associated reptilian creatures with the devil. So snakes, St. Patrick and driving the snakes out of Ireland. That was based on a visual for St. Patrick driving the demons out of Ireland. Dragons, crocodiles, or they lead humans to sin. So chaining it up in the ceiling in the vault of the church serves as a warning to the churchgoers and also a symbol of the victory of good over evil. Wow. You want to believe that? Lombardia, Italy. This is what we need today. I'm telling you, if Catholic churches in the United States were doing this, they'd be packed. They'd be packed every Sunday with people bringing their kids to come and they want to see the crocodile in church. This is a real embalmed Nile crocodile, believed to be at least 500 years old. So, interestingly, this is not the only crocodile hanging from the ceiling of a church in Italy. Turns out, the Church of Santa Maria del Vergine in Macerata, and John, I don't know where any of these places are.
Lombardy's north is the northern part of Italy, and this last region I'm not sure of.
Macerata. Okay, so in that church is this. Here's another one. So this crocodile is hanging from like a pole sticking out of the wall. Not anywhere near displayed as nicely as the other one. This one looks like they just caught it and strung it up. It's what they think it is that someone from the church got it as a curiosity in the Holy Land, and they brought it back because it was a souvenir of the Holy Land. I can just imagine the pastor, Mamma Mia, this is the kind of souvenir you bring back from the Holy Land? What?
He would be amazed by that.
Oh yeah, the poor guy who brought it back. I could just see if that was me. I could say, well, look at the crocodile's holding the beer bottle. It's a miracle.
Oh my gosh.
So this is at Macerata. Then there's a third one, believe it or not. Here's the third one here. Now this one is beautiful. They really did it. They've got paintings of this crocodile surrounding it while it's hanging from a beautiful wooden ceiling in front of a stained glass window. A couple of saints painted, saint holding a lamb. Boy, they're right by the crocodile's mouth. That looks enticing. So this is the church of Santuario della Madonna della Creme in Ponte Nosa. So first mention of this crocodile dates back to 1594. Bishop Federico Corner, who asked for its immediate removal. It was like in the church bulletin, and the parishioners objected because they said that it was part of a miracle, and it turns out that one of the parish priests remembered the miracle. He said that a villager who was he was selling something. Oh, a merchant who was traveling to sell his woolen cloths came to the church, and he found himself facing this ferocious crocodile. So he prayed to the Madonna, of course, the patron of the church. He prayed to the Madonna and thus managed to hit the monster in the throat with his gun. Now, I didn't even think they had guns in 1594, but they do. So this guy happened to be carrying a gun. Instead of firing it at the crocodile, he whacks it in the throat and kills it and donates it to the church
Wow.
instead of whatever it was he was selling, or the profits from his sale. He gives them the crocodile and says, "Hey, I prayed the Madonna, so that you guys take it, rub it on the nose or something. Maybe you'll get a miracle too."
Wow. Amazing.
So there's pictures. I couldn't find one, but there's actually paintings of the crocodile. In addition to the body hanging there, there's paintings of the crocodile on the wall. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Again, I would go to that church. If I ever get to Italy again, I'm going to all three of these churches. I'll make a donation. I'll pray to whoever I pray. Okay, all right, two more here. The Urban Outfitters, the store, sells retro stuff besides camping gear. And one of the retro things that they said is the hottest selling item these days. This old-fashioned corded phone, a landline phone with a curly cord and a big giant handset and a big giant base with a big giant dial on it. It says that members of Generation Z, are getting rid of their iPhones and going back to landline because they like to sit and twist the cord while they're talking on the phone. Now, I don't ever want to see these phones again myself. I spent much time on them, and we're too used to iPhones these days. Plus, these kids, I don't think they realize it. If they want to send naked pictures to their friend, they can't use the phone anymore. They have to get a Polaroid. They have to get an envelope. They have to get an address, a stamp, and mail it to them, and then call them up and wait and see if they got the photo or not.
Right.
Yeah. Other things that they may not be anticipating if you own a landline phone, a doodle pad. Remember doodle pads?
Oh,
You're sitting on
Sure.
Everybody had a pad. You had a little desk, a phone book. With where you wrote the numbers down in it. Yellow pages where you looked the numbers up. Quarters to put in the not in this phone, but if it's a pay phone, quarters. You need quarters. I'm sure they're $1 now, or I don't know how much a pay phone might be. And if there's extensions in your house and you're thinking about sending naked pictures, just remember that could be your father picking up the extension. And what's he gonna?
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't realize how good we had it. Okay,
Really?
now, if that's not enough proof that the end is near, that they're bringing back landlines, this is it. This came from the Wall Street Journal, a report that the U.S. national average for a tooth fairy gift, when a little kid loses their baby tooth and puts it under a pillow, the average in the United States today is more than $6 per tooth. And some children are actually receiving, for one tooth, $100 bills, iPhones, and designer jewelry under their pillows. Yeah. If you think that's bad, the Tooth Fairy's own kids, when they lose their teeth, they want Bitcoin. They won't even accept $1 or $100. They want Bitcoin. That explains I ordered a pizza the other day, and the delivery guy looked an awful lot like the Tooth Fairy. I think he's running side hustles to be able to afford to put all that kind of money underneath these pillows.
Really?
Karen, I know your son is many years from having lost his baby
Right.
teeth. What was it? Maybe a quarter or a 50 cents?
I think the most he ever got maybe was $1 from his grandmother. But I
Oh,
used to get pennies and dimes, not even
Hey,
quarters.
That's right, John. I think you can agree with that.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. Yeah.
So I didn't realize that where this came from. The tradition for tooth fairies, or the tooth fee as it's called, came from Northern Europe. Dates back to the year 1200. That was the first time anybody mentioned it in the Norway, the Norse legends in Northern Europe. Children's teeth were believed to be lucky charms. So a lot of times their fathers would collect the teeth and put them in a necklace and take them off the battle with them as a lucky charm. Now, what do you think the tooth fairy is? Is it tooth fairy male or female?
I think female.
Karen? Female. You say it's
Yeah.
according to a recent study, 74% of those surveyed believe the tooth fairy is a female. 12% believe the tooth fairy is neither male nor female, and 8% believe it could be a male or it could be a female. Historically, it's been depicted not only as male and female, but get a load of this: a child with wings, a pixie, a dragon, a blue mother figure, a flying ballerina, two little old men, a dental hygienist, and a pot-bellied flying man smoking a cigar. Since that was, I went looking for a picture of one, and here you go.
Oh
There's
my gosh. Oh God.
Not my first thought. Not my first thought at all.
There's a cartoon of a bearded old man with wings and a cigar in his mouth and a tooth on his shirt, his tutu.
Yeah, he's wearing a tutu.
Tutu tooth.
That's quite a sight.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like a pawn shop owner, doesn't he? Hey, let me look at that tooth. What do you want for this tooth? I give you a dime. I give you a dime. Look at it. It's got a cavity. I give you 15 cents. That's it. My final offer. That's what you would get if that tooth fairy showed up. And on that note, I think that's the perfect place to stop all this nonsense and move to a different kind of nonsense. What in the world of sports with John Donalo? I think that's there we go. So every week I ask my buddy John, I've known him since college, we're fraternity brothers. I ask him, John, find us a great sport, an unusual sport for what in the world. And John always manages to find a really good sport. This week is no exception. John, we got your photos all lined up. So why don't you tell us what our sport is for this week?
I will do that, Paul. Thanks again for the introduction. So our sport this week is one that you probably have never heard of, because this sport is not played in North America, even though it is considered to be one of the most violent sports in the world.
Wow.
The sport is wrestleball, or as it's known in Russia, where it originated, it is known as, get ready for this, murder basketball.
I love it. All right. Well, tell us more.
Explain. So let me explain. Wrestleball is a bizarre mix of the most brutal parts of three different sports. The sports are basketball, wrestling, and rugby. The game uses a basketball, which is played on a padded basketball court, and the goal of the game is to put the ball through a hoop, but the rest of the game of basketball is out the window.
Wow.
From wrestling, play begins not with a jump ball, as in normal basketball games, but in an actual wrestling match. From rugby, you're allowed to tackle your opponent cleanly on the court, whether they have the ball or not. Field goals are worth 1 point, and so are free throws after fouls. Yes, fouls are called, but it's hard to determine why. Goaltending is allowed, body slams are allowed, and out of bounds is the figment of an imagination. The game was developed by wrestlers as a way to stay in shape.
Yeah,
But,
look at
but the, but the,
we have
right.
here. Look at the body slam. This is a head slam. This guy is slamming his opponent into the padded floor upside down, while the rest of the guys are even ignoring him and going after the ball.
That's not a penalty or foul by any means. But the sport that best prepares athletes, believe it or not, for wrestle ball is a very popular sport now, mixed martial arts.
Oh, looks like it, yeah.
So wrestle ball is played at a professional level throughout the country of Russia, and the teams there compete in a 22-team league, and the games are broadcast on a dedicated YouTube channel where it reaches over 400,000 viewers in Russia, France, Holland, the Czech Republic, and other Eastern European countries. Now, this sport has been watched by Cleveland Cavaliers all-star Donovan Mitchell, who was quoted as saying, "Bro, what is going on with this?" And Terry Rozier of the Charlotte Hornets, who says, "This is definitely soccer, basketball, football, and even wrestling all rolled into one."
Wow. And I apologize for the blurry pictures. I think Bigfoot may be in some of these pictures, but
he's throwing up his screen. He's throwing up his screen.
You can get the essence of it. For those of you who can't see it, I mean, that is what they are doing. This shot has a ball about to go into the hoop, but nobody cares. They're all busy wrestling with each other. It's unbelievable.
So, as a side note, on a personal level, when I was a teenager, my dad put up a basketball hoop on our garage, and my friends and I played hundreds of games in our driveway. One game that we invented was called Bull One-on-One, in which we blocked and tackled our opponents while they attempted to shoot a basket. Needless to say, you were wise to wear a long sleeve sweatshirt and long pants because the concrete in that driveway was very, very hard.
Wow.
Now, wrestle ball sounds like a sport which could catch on in the U.S., but if you want to start training now, I know a driveway where you can practice.
Wow.
Knowing some of your friends, John, I can imagine that those were quite the fierce battles.
They got to be brutal. It got to be so brutal that we just ended up not playing that game anymore.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Unbelievable. So this is a photo here. This last photo is from the championship, the 2022 Russian Wrestle Ball Cup. And these look like brutal guys. Boy, they're all scarred up, and this looks like a sport that would catch on really well in the United States. I'm
in a way, actually, the research I did, I don't think there's any great amount of teams or players doing this, right? But it's really a very popular sport, again, in Europe.
Yeah. Boy, this is wide open. We could start this in Cleveland and open a national tournament. In fact, we would be the perfect people to do this, John. I don't know if you remember this. And now, when after John left high school, he came to John Carroll University in Cleveland, Ohio, where we met. And John, I remember we were looking for something to do to compete with the other fraternities in a sport that we could, we were experienced at. And you brought up that game of yours.
The bull
And
1-on-1.
that's right. And we all had enough beer that we thought, hey, that sounds like a good idea. So, but you explained how brutal it was. So I happen to have some photos of how we dressed to make sure we didn't get hurt while we were playing that bull 1-on-1. So here's a picture. I believe this is you and I.
Oh, great. Yeah.
We're
We
dressed
have
in
our armor on. Right.
armor. That's right. Medieval armor seemed like a much better approach to the game. And I remember one of the sororities saw us playing this game, and they said, "Hey, that looks like fun. How about if we challenge you guys?" Now, this was in the 70s. This was the feminist movement was growing, so we were
Sure.
obligated, to give the women an opportunity to play against the men. So we said, sure, yeah, we ought to be able to beat them. So one of the sorority sisters shows up looking like this.
Oh my gosh.
I remember that now.
She's got a cage helmet. She's got armor. She's got a sword. She's got a shield, all standing. She's the one guarding the basket. We all turned around and went back and had some more beer. And we may have even invited the sorority. I don't know about that. But anyways, great sport, John. Great sport.
Very good.
Thank you.
I'm going to predict we'll be seeing that sport in the United States sometime in the not too distant future. But
I would think so too.
Yeah. What we're going to see next is Bluff the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game. The rules are simple. We play it every week. I have 3 stories similar to the ones that we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference. All of those stories were real. The stories in Bluff the co-host may be real. They may be a bluff. And it's up to Karen, John, and those of you playing at home to figure it out for yourselves. Wagering is allowed. So place your bets. John and Karen, put your hand on the buzzer. And let's get right to story number 1. What do truffle pigs do when the expensive mushrooms are out of season? Finland pig owner has trained his porkers on how to find gum on the sidewalks, and then he rents them out to city sanitation crews to help clean the mess off the sidewalks. Dried gum actually smells a little like truffles, so it doesn't take much to convert the pig from woods to urban streets. He says the really smart ones can even learn how to push a scraper with their snouts to help remove the gum. They're also smart enough to know that digging truffles pays much better, but they don't mind earning some off-season treats. Okay, so the guy in Finland who trained his truffle pigs on how to locate gum stuck to the sidewalk during the off-season and help the sanitation workers clean up. What do you say, Karen? Real or bluff?
I'm going to say it's a bluff because I have a feeling they'd poop along the way, so that would cause another problem. So it's a bluff.
Okay, Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you? Truffle pigs picking up gum, real or bluff?
I'm going to say it's real. I mean, it's just odd enough that someone would do this and train their animals to do that. So I'm going to say it's real.
All right, John says it's real. Karen says it's the bluff. Truffle pigs picking up gum. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, "Congratulations, Karen. That's a bluff." I don't.
Very good, Karen. Very good. Very good.
I can't afford to smell truffles, so I'm not sure if they do smell like gum or not. But the rest of that is completely false. All right, so Karen vaults into the lead, 1-0. John is known for his great comebacks, so get ready. Let's get right to story number 2. Most pieces of chewed gum look like nondescript blobs, but an artist in Italy has made a career out of turning chewed bubble gum into small pink statues of sticky, sugary art. He came up with the idea while studying art in college and returned to Rome after graduation and immediately began chewing and sculpting everything from human figures to animals to still life. His first exhibit sold out, but the sugar broke down too quickly for a long run, and people thought it was unsanitary. Now he has assistants who heat the gum for him and spray the statues with formaldehyde and antibiotics to kill the germs and preserve the statues. He now holds exhibits worldwide and sells custom gum works for up to $50,000. That's not blowing bubbles. All right, so the artist in Italy who turns pink chewing gum into statues that he sells for up to $50,000 a piece. Real or bluff? John, we'll start with you.
I'm going to have to say this is a bluff. I mean, I can see people buying these kind of statues or whatever for $10, $100, $50,000. I mean, even the wealthy people in the world, why would they do something like that outside of the fact that it would be kind of I guess, a conversation piece? So I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Okay, for the person who has everything, a gum statue. John says it's a bluff. Karen, how about you?
I'm going to disagree with John because isn't this about weird information, this show? And so there's weird people. So I'm going to say it's true.
Wow. Okay. So Karen goes against John and says that gum statues are real. John says they're a bluff. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, congratulations go to Karen once again. That is a real story.
Hey, Paul. Hey, I just think for just argument's sake, see if you can dig up any information on one of these pink statues that are even worth 10,000. That I don't even want to see the one that's worth 50,000.
Google it. They are beautiful. He's a fantastic sculptor. Naked figurines of humans. It's unbelievable.
Oh, wow. Okay, I will do that, Paul. I will do that.
I could not believe it myself, so I had to check it out. So let's see. That means the score is now 2-0, and Karen is in the lead. Fortunately for John, points are doubled in round number 3, so he still has a chance to at least tie the score. And a tie is as good as a win in Bluff the Co-host. So let's for 3. Everybody who has watched hockey or ice skating knows what a Zamboni is, but a small rink in Minnesota couldn't afford to replace their expensive ice resurfacer when it broke down. So the parents of kids who used the rink held a fundraiser and hired a mechanic who built them one. He called it a Spamboni because, like Spam, it contains no real Zamboni parts. Instead, he used a Kia car body, 4 snow tires, a couple of snow shovels welded together, a garbage can full of water, a garden hose, 3 push brooms, and a compressor to build a vehicle that does the job while costing a fraction of a real Zamboni. Lawyers from Zamboni planned to sue, but the grandson of the original Zamboni inventor was so impressed that he dropped the suit and gave the mechanic the exclusive rights to the design and the name Spamboni. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to John. That's a good sports story there. So, John, what do you think? Guy makes a Spamboni out of an old Kia, some snow shovels, and a garbage can. What do you say? Real or bluff?
Well, I'm going to say it's real because I think if this person has taken the initiative and is creative enough to develop a vehicle that maybe is not as good as a traditional Zamboni, but he's got some skill and ability. I'm going to say it's true.
Okay. John says the Spamboni is real. Karen, how about you?
See, I thought the thing had brushes and went across the ice with their brushes. It doesn't sound like this car has brushes. So I'm going to say it's false.
Wow. Okay. So Karen says it's a bluff. There are brooms, by the way. There are brooms.
Yeah, but there's shovels in a garbage can. What the heck is that all for?
Logic is striking Karen right now.
Right. So Karen says, what the heck is that all about? It's a bluff. John says, no, it's not. The Spamboni is real. It is. I know it is. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, congratulations go to Karen for a perfect score.
Wow. Oh, well, Karen, congratulations. But now for me.
Thank you. I thank you. My
So, you know,
husband,
for next
my
week now,
husband has not been doing any training with me.
well, here we go. So next week, you know what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be
Yeah.
doing studying
Or
and to be doing a lot of research so I can at least be able to get one right. Wow, I got skunked today. Wow.
those flashcards are going to be flying this week.
Yes, they will.
The
They
Nalo
will
House.
be.
That's right. All right. Well, that means we've reached the end of another edition of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our media mogul, our producer, co-host at newclevelandradio.net. Thank you for everything you do for our show, for all of the podcasts on your platform. Please, everybody, go visit newclevelandradio.net. Find out how to download us. Find us on YouTube. And then check out all the great podcasts that Karen had. In addition, if you're looking for coaching advice, Karen is also the place to go. So newclevelandradio.net, your one-stop shop for all kind of great stuff. Also, I want to thank my old buddy John Dinalo. Thanks for everything you do for our show, for being a good sport and putting up with me every week. And that's no lie. John will be studying this week. That is not a bluff.
And the proof will be how I can perform next week. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's right. Okay. And then, as always, the person and the people that we want to thank the most is all of you out there listening to us, watching us on YouTube, whether it's live or in the future. We want to thank you. We hope that you have as much fun listening to the show as we do putting it on. That's the reason why we do it, is to have a good time for us for a week and share it with everybody out there. Our listenership keeps on growing. Please tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell people on Facebook, spread the wealth. We'd love to for What in the World to be on cable TV, to be a rated podcast and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
We're doing our job trying to find the great strange stories and make you laugh about them. So on that note, again, congratulations, Karen, for a great job on Bluff the Co-host.
Congratulations, Karen. A great run today. Very good.
Good luck with your adventure this afternoon, and we'll see everybody next week at the regular time.